Flight attendants and pilots of Reddit, what are some things that happen mid-flight that only the crew are aware of? One of my all-time favorites is the captain accidentally broadcasting his passenger briefing, "Welcome aboard, weather in Chicago" and so on frequency instead of the aircraft PA system, blocking up ground, ramp, tower, etc. For a solid 15 seconds. You automatically become the laughing stock of the airport. As an air traffic controller, we are constantly swearing and yelling at pilots when we're not on the frequency, and then when we key up we use our nice guy voices. A lady who was feeling very ill crapped her pants mid-flight. A very kind FA managed to get her covered in a blanket and into the bathroom with barely anyone noticing, and then gave her a pair of her own pants to wear so she wouldn't be embarrassed. Not sure if it's been mentioned already. I was learning to be cabin crew at college, and in the event that someone dies on board, the CC cabin crew make it less obvious that they have passed. Put glasses on them, maybe a hat. Essentially dress them up as subtle as possible to not alert and/or panic the other passengers. Please don't disturb my friend. He's dead tired. The scariest moment of my day is when the FA opens the internal bag door, the closet we all throw our overnight bags in, without calling us in the flight deck first. That ding and master caution gets me every time. Airplane be like, "Oh shit, someone opened a fucking internal door." I know there's probably more to it than that, but pilots are on their phones or reading the newspaper all the time. Oftentimes they're browsing Reddit. Pilot here. We only get paid when the doors are closed and the push-back has commenced. If we're delayed or sitting with the door open, we're just as annoyed as you are. At altitude we're constantly in contact with air traffic control and change to different center frequencies or control for other than US locations. We're also doing fuel checks to make sure the fuel burn isn't abnormal, dodging weather, and probably bitching about scheduling. Out of curiosity, how often do you talk with dispatch during an average flight? Was actually thinking of becoming one for a while. As said before in the last thread, there is a large list of things that can be broken but the aircraft can still fly. Often there will be a dead body in the cargo hold. There is a crash axe just laying around in the cabin. It'll spilt open your skull, not tested, but it won't actually get through the aircraft skin or windows, tested. Lavatory doors can be opened from the outside by lifting the metal plate saying lavatory and pulling the pin under it. Both pilots may not eat the same meal, but they might be eating at the same time while the plane flies itself. That's hilarious. They can't eat the same meal because of the movie Airplane, where both pilot and co-pilot eat the bad fish. My uncle was a pilot. He says that most people don't understand how much of the airplane is run by computers. The pilots are necessary, but a lot of the elements of flying are automated nowadays. There's a joke about the Airbus A380 that goes, "The A380 comes with a pilot and a dog. The pilot is there to feed the dog. The dog is there to bark at the pilot if he tries to touch anything. Pilot is sleeping and co-pilot is flying and there are dead bodies in the cargo." Source: my mom, who is a former flight attendant. On longer flights, bigger airplanes, they even have a special room where the flight crew can get some sleep. Pilot here. Most of the time the passengers are not given the full answer on why a flight is delayed or cancelled. Airlines will typically blame cancellations on unrelated events, weather, instead of mechanical issues, so they don't have to pay for hotel rooms, meals, etc. Also, chemtrails are not real. For those of you who believe they are real, give your head a shake. There's a 600-page book in the cockpit with every single thing that can possibly go wrong, from a bulb going out to an engine falling off, a biohazard or a bomb threat. This channel is for emergencies only. Miu. Don't fly with an ear infection or fluid in your ears. There is a chance you can rupture your eardrum. Flight crews are especially susceptible to this since we are constantly going through pressurization and depressurization when we work. Pilot and co-pilot are exchanging files and playing video games together via Wi-Fi. Untrue, most of my captains aren't nearly that tech-savvy. FA here. At mid-flight I noticed a strange thing with one of the slides was not armed properly and had an issue with it, however we landed safely and nobody of the PAX knew nothing. Flight attendants don't get paid on the ground. Only flying hours are paid. We are slave labor on the ground and duties are continually added to our unpaid work time because the company knows they don't have to pay us. We show up 2 to 3 hours before we even start getting paid, and some days we will work up to 14 hours and only get paid for 5 or 6 of those hours. It should be illegal. Please be kind when you are boarding the plane and getting all pissy about your bags etc. The flight attendant is a volunteer while she is helping you on the ground. She is essentially doing you a favor. I don't understand how this is legal. Or how it's justified. It's not like you're not working before the plane pulls back from the gate. There is quite often someone with a firearm on board, and a lot of the time it's one of the pilots FFDOs. Most airplanes don't even have a phalange. Her friend has a feeling something's wrong with the left phalange. We sat in a backed-up queue for hours in Denver one time. The weather had the airport socked in, nobody was going anywhere until this giant supercell cleared the end of the runway. During that time suddenly there appeared a mechanic at the front of the cabin on the PA holding up a 2-foot-long piece of metal he had pulled from one of the tires. He explained if the plane hadn't been sitting waiting he might have never spotted it. It could have come flying out during takeoff roll and penetrated the plane's wing, igniting fuel, or whatever. Everyone cheered him, what a hero, he possibly saved our lives. To this day I have no idea why they let him come on board and tell us this. To make you less pissed about the delay. Pilot here. Guard frequency is basically pilot Reddit. It's just people meowing and making fart noises. It's literally set up to monitor for aircraft in distress, emergencies or radios being in the wrong frequency, but it's so safe here in the US to fly that it's basically one big meme. I'm flying a plane now, look up and I'll wave light skin tone. FA here. Crop dusting. Basically farting whilst we walk down the aisle due to the bloating. If you fly frequently there's a high chance an FA has farted right by your head as they walk down the aisle. This is another reason I always go for the window seat.